Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Geeks Watch. Today I want to talk about the 1985 fantasy film Ladyhawke, an image of which you will see here. Um, Ladyhawke stars Matthew Broderick as Philippe the Mouse, Michelle Pfeiffer as Anjou, and Rutger Hauer as Navarre. The film takes place in a fantasy Italy. We first meet, the film is basically telling the story of Philippe the Mouse. We first meet him as he is escaping from the Bishop of the Bishop of Aquila. That was it, the Bishop of Aquila prison. He is later. There will be some spoilers, but the film's 40 years old, so whatever. I don't think it's worth keeping too much of it in hidden. But I will go over a brief overview of the story. So, Philippe the Mouse escapes. He later is recaptured, but is rescued by Navarre. Navarre is a man dressed in black on a black horse, and he carries a hawk with him. He announces that he intends to, eventually when they're traveling together, he announces that he plans to kill the Bishop of Aquila in revenge. Doesn't specifically say what for. Philippe says he wants nothing to do with this and tries to escape. But we later learn that Navarre never appears at night, and when he does, a young, beautiful woman appears. So turns out that there is a curse that apparently the Bishop of Aquila lusted after the Lady Anjou, only to find out that she was already in love with Navarre. He swore that if he could not have her, then no one could, called down a terrible curse upon them, that they could never be together, that they were always separate, that he was a wolf by night and she was a hawk by day. So only for the briefest of moments at sunrise and sunset could they even come close to seeing one another, and even then only for a brief instant. And this is the revenge for which Navarre wants to kill the bishop for. So that's the basic overview of the plot. There are some other small details. Leo McKern plays a drunken priest that they eventually go to for help. I love Leo McKern, and he's good in this role. He plays an old drunken priest very well. I've always enjoyed his characters. Matthew Broderick as Philippe the Mouse. This is not Philip. What's his Broderick's first role? I'm not sure he did this or Ferris Bueller's Day Off first. I can't remember, but his character is very similar to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you've ever seen that one, he keeps up, not quite as mature as Ferris Bueller. He is very, very much of a small con man, and he keeps up a running dialogue of wisecracks and smart-ass comments constantly. He almost never shuts up. He is at heart a coward and a thief, but he's not a cruel person or heartless. He's just lazy, cowardly, and greedy. Rutger Hauer plays Navarre, the former chief of the guards who was exiled when the bishop called down the curse upon them. Initially, Kurt Russell was meant to play Navarre, and the role of Philippe the Mouse was offered to Sean Penn, who turned it down. It was then offered to Dustin Hoffman. The director later settled on Matthew Broderick. The cinematography is wonderful. The film looks beautiful. Cinematography, costuming, set designs, all that stuff. The film looks like it takes place in medieval Italy, and it's gorgeously shot. The plot is somewhat hokey at times. It's the acting that really saves this film. The pacing is a bit slow. The soundtrack, to me, is one of the biggest negatives of the film. The director heard the Alan Parsons Project, which is a prog rock synthesizer band, loved it, and asked them to do the soundtrack for it, with working with the Philharmonic Orchestra. It's all synthesized prog rock, and it doesn't really fit the theme of a medieval fantasy story. It's pure 80s synth music. And while the music itself isn't bad, I don't feel it fits the tone of the film. It really is kind of jarring at times. And the pacing is a bit slow as well. This film did not do well at the box office. It made $18.4 million on a $20 million budget, so it was a flop. I think it currently is on Rotten Tomatoes at like 57%, but I think it's better than that. This film is a lot of fun. It is slow pacing. There are some problems with the script. No problem with the direction, but it's a bit clunky in places and definitely slow in places. But the actors' performances are all excellent. As much as you can. I think Matthew Broderick as Philippe is a bit of an anachronism. I'm not sure his attitude really fits the film. He sounds like an obnoxious teenager from 1980s. So it is a bit incongruous. Having said that, he has some great lines. He really, really does. I'm going to spoil one of my favorite moments of the film, but it's early in the film, so it's not too much of a thing. As he is escaping from prison, he winds up getting swept up in the sewers. He basically pleads to God, saying, "Please God, if you help me survive and escape, I promise to be a good person, a good, honest person from now on." And as soon as he has escaped from prison, he basically steals from one of the guards. There's he cuts the guard's purse and takes all his money. And as he's, leaving, he's like, God, I know that I promised you that I would be a better person than this, but I also know that you know what a weak-willed person I am. And it's just he talks to himself nonstop, and it's these silly little things that he says that really endear the character to me. I really love the character of Philippe the Mouse, but I also love, Anjou and Navarre, and the drunken priest that Leo McKern plays. So while this film does have some problems, and honestly, admittedly so, it is still a very sweet, fun movie from the mid-80s. And I would recommend it, in spite of its low ratings. I think the ratings are lower than it really deserves. This is a decent movie. It's a decent movie that has problems. I have to give it like a solid B. It's not a great film by any means, but it has some solid performances, and it really is fun to watch. So those are my recommendations for the film. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.